It's 10 p.m. this Tuesday evening. Hello, I'm Glenda Chong.
And I'm Steve Lyon. You're watching Singapore Tonight. Here are your top stories. A new accelerator program is in the works to help companies create tech solutions for the built environment sector.
Electric taxi company HDT becomes Singapore's 7th taxi operator. It's aiming to increase its fleet to 800 vehicles by the year 2022.
A new campaign to reduce plastic waste in Singapore after a study finds 820 million plastic bags are consumed here every year.
Also ahead on tonight's show, we speak to local director Kelvin Tong and foodie guru KF Sito on their latest film about Singapore's food culture.
Speaking of food, Sarah, our colleague has the business news, including the food industry getting a taste of innovation, Sarah.
Absolutely, Steve. Now, a small batch testing facility is set to open next year, aimed at giving food manufacturers a hand at new technology.
A new accelerator program to develop solutions for the built environment sector is in the works, and this was announced today by National Development Minister Lawrence Wong. Wendy Wong with more.
Air conditioning is one of the biggest culprits when it comes to energy consumption. But an energy-efficient solution could soon be on the way. That's with the help of chilled ceiling panels, which can cool buildings while saving up to 30% in energy. The panels, made of special materials such as nanotechnology fibers, can also help purify the air. And they can cool buildings uniformly, unlike air ducts. It's one of 11 research projects to be undertaken by a new laboratory. Jointly set up by the Nanyang Technological University, Surbana Jurong and the National Research Foundation Singapore, the 61 million Singapore dollar lab is the first to focus on solutions for the built environment.
We will have new technologies that will come out, new spin-out companies will come out, and the ideas that are developed jointly as part of the corporate lab will be embedded into construction by an entity like Surbana Jurong as they do consultancy work for mega projects all over the world.
And with more than half of the world's population living in urban centres, such solutions could also be exported, such as to one up-and-coming city in the Philippines.
Currently, we are doing a project in the Clark Air Base, and in that project is a greenfield project with new buildings that's going to come up. And so some of the technologies that you see here could well be implemented in the buildings and in the townships that we built at New Clark City.
And these urban solutions could potentially qualify for a new accelerator program for startups and companies in the built environment sector.
The intent is to bring in innovative, built environment solutions from both local and overseas companies to the market. And we will do so through a range of activities, which includes matching to industry hosts, access to investor funding and business networks, and the provision of mentoring and mentorship opportunities to companies.
Mr. Wong said the Housing and Development Board will take the lead by expanding a current initiative which involves the public in co-creating solutions for the public housing environment. First launched in 2011, this initiative will be expanded to include submissions from companies to pilot new solutions in public housing estates. So far, the initiative has received more than 800 ideas from Singaporeans.
HDT Singapore Taxi will be Singapore's 7th taxi operator. This after it was granted a 10-year taxi service operator license by the Land Transport Authority, which kicks in tomorrow.
HDT has been operating under a 2-year trial as part of the Transport Innovation and Development Scheme, which involved 100 electric taxis. Elizabeth New has more.
Under the new license, HDT will need to increase its current fleet of e-taxis to 800 in 4 years. As a first step, HDT will need to register its existing fleet under a regular taxi license by end August. This means previous tax exemptions it enjoyed as a research and development vehicle, such as road tax, would no longer apply. The company also has to ensure sufficient charging stations are set up island-wide to support its fleet. In response to Channel News Asia, HDT said it is looking to have one charging point for every 2.5 e-taxis. And it's in discussions with a few interested parties to set up the charging points.
You need to develop infrastructure that is spread out throughout Singapore and also can be utilized efficiently. With only 800 vehicles, they will face some difficulty. They may need to partner with a bigger player. This is definitely one area where I think if other taxi operators in Singapore were to start introducing more electric vehicles to their fleet, the industry would probably benefit from having some kind of coordinated effort to develop national charging infrastructure.
HDT has 75 charging stations distributed in 10 areas to date, and it said it will add 200 e-taxis per year for the next 4 years. The Land Transport Authority said HDT's organizational structure, performance records and financial capabilities showed its business viability and ability to operate a full-fledged taxi service. HDT operates on an employer-employee model, which pays drivers a monthly wage inclusive of CPF that can increase if revenue targets are hit. This is different from the rental-hire model in which drivers keep the fares they make.
It allows the taxi industry to recruit drivers who were turned away or discouraged by the traditional model, where the driver basically assumes all of the income risk.
Singapore's other taxi operators are ComfortDelGro, CityCab, SMRT, Transcab, Premier and Prime Taxi.
Imagine Singapore's picturesque gardens by the bay. Now imagine it being 126 times bigger and covered in plastic bags. That's how many plastic bags Singapore uses from supermarkets, a whopping 820 million each year. That's according to a new study released today by the Singapore Environment Council. It reveals the extent of consumer plastic use and its low recycling level right here. Only 15% of consumers bring their own bags for their shopping, and women are twice as likely to bring a reusable bag as compared to men. Apart from plastic bags, the study also focused on another major source of plastic waste. It found that 467 million polyethylene terephthalate, or PET, bottles are used in Singapore each year. That's enough to fill 94 Olympic-sized pools. A new campaign is now calling on the public to reduce plastic use an item a day, as June Low reports.
The study of about 1,000 people found supermarket plastic bags to be the biggest contributor to Singapore's plastic problem. 820 million of them are used each year, enough to cover the land area of more than 120 gardens by the bays. Each shopper was also found to take an average of between 2 and 4 plastic bags. And gender seems to play a role too. Women are twice as likely to bring a reusable bag.
The other one that was quite a huge surprise is concerning gender. And if you really think about it in terms of reusable bags, men don't carry reusable bags with them because they're bulky. So again, it's more targeted and focused, and try to sharpen how we can engage even the gender side. How can we make so-called reusable bags more friendly for all?
The study also found that about 470 million units of plastic disposables are used in Singapore every year, which is enough to cover 3 Sentosa islands. And there's one other culprit: plastic bottles, which are commonly used for drinks and sauces. 467 million of them fly off the shelves in Singapore each year. This works out to be the volume of more than 90 Olympic-sized swimming pools.
The results of the study will also help shape the Environment Council's education campaign. For a start, it plans to target the plastic problem by calling on people to reduce using 1 plastic item per day.
For instance, it will encourage people to use their own cutlery for takeaways and to bring water bottles instead of buying bottled drinks. Supermarket chain NTUC is among the first on board the Council's campaign. It has embarked on a plastic bag management program, which reviews practices for trimming plastic use.
It's about looking at holistically how do we reduce plastic bag usage from internal processes, from teaching and training cashiers how to efficiently do the packaging, and how we can actually involve customers to use less plastic bags.
Results of the study will be included into a more extensive research report on the use of consumer plastics in Singapore, which will be published next month.
Coming up after the break, local food is getting a healthy spin at some restaurants. Calorie counts for some dishes have been reduced by half. Tell you more after the break.
Singapore's leaders have emphasized the importance of abiding by relevant contracts with regards to issues such as the KL Singapore high-speed rail and the water agreement. That while exploring potential new areas of collaboration.
This comes as Malaysian Foreign Minister Saifuddin Abdullah concludes his two-day visit to Singapore. According to the Foreign Affairs Ministry, Singapore has also been clear and consistent in its position that Malaysia had lost its right to review water prices in 1987.
Nevertheless, it said that Malaysia and Singapore have reaffirmed their commitment to build on their strong bilateral relations for mutual benefit, after calling on President Halimah Yacob and Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong yesterday. Mr. Saifuddin also called on Deputy Prime Minister Teo Chee Hean earlier today.
Improving training programs and pushing for better wages and better working conditions. And that's just some of the key areas NTUC will work on in support of its workers.
In his National Day message, NTUC Chief Ng Chee Meng says the focus is on 5 key areas. First, it will push for better wages, welfare, as well as work prospects.
Second, it will push out progressive wage models for lift technicians and at the same time explore helping other sectors. For older workers, the Labour body will review the retirement age and strengthen re-employment guidelines for them.
The NTUC also aims to improve training programs so workers have better work and wage prospects. And finally, the Labour body will look to help workers stretch their hard-earned cash through NTUC's social enterprises, thus alleviating the impact of the cost of living.
Mr. Ng also added that Singaporeans currently enjoy the fruits of our pioneers' labour, but it is now our turn and duty to build on the strong foundation for an even better Singapore for future generations.
Some 30,000 Obikes have been cleared from Singapore's streets ahead of today's deadline, but it's believed thousands more remain. Bike-sharing operator Obike exited the Singapore market on the 25th of June, saying proposed regulations were too onerous.
Obike was originally told to remove all its bicycles by the 4th of July, but the Land Transport Authority later extended this to end July. The retrieved bicycles have apparently been sent to a metal scrap yard in Sungai Kadut, which has the contract from LTA to dispose Obikes.
It's believed there were some 40,000 Obikes in Singapore when the company closed down almost 3 times the 14,000 figure the company was estimated to have in its fleet at that time. Obike's appointed liquidators are having a meeting with customers seeking a refund of their deposits on Thursday.
Customers can now order a healthier version of nasi padang after a first such stall collaborated with a health promotion board. And the stall is the latest in ongoing efforts to encourage Singaporeans to eat healthier. Tan Si Hui with this report.
Rendang, asam pedas and sotong hitam are 3 of 5 dishes that have been given a new and healthier spin at this nasi padang outlet called Rumah Makan Minang. They've been prepared using healthier oil and paired with whole grain red rice. And this has brought the calories count down to just 400. A normal nasi padang meal has about 700 to 900 calories per serving.
Using the measurement that the HBB gave us, right? So the quality has went down, but we somehow rather we actually maintain the same taste and all that lah. So our customer couldn't. Don't see the difference.
It took about 3 to 4 months for the outlet to conceptualize the 5 dishes. Mr. Hazmi was initially hesitant about participating in the healthier dining program until Senior Parliamentary Secretary for the Health Ministry, Amran Amin, stepped in.
Indeed it is. It is a war on diabetes, and this is a war that requires all sectors, all parts of the community coming forward to fight this war together.
Another outlet, Yu Ki Duck Rice, has already been on board the healthier dining program for 5 weeks. It is now offering 3 healthier dishes out of the 7 options.
Okay, for the past 5 weeks, customers ordering noodles. We can see that 60% of them have opted for the whole grain noodles. And the feedback from them is that they feel that actually the taste is still okay. Like don't vary very far from the normal noodles. And sometimes they don't even know it's the whole grain noodles.
According to the National Nutrition Survey in 2010, 60% of Singaporeans eat out, either lunch or dinner, for at least 4 times a week. Now, right before me is the braised duck noodles, and it has whole grain noodles. So I'm just going to taste if it tastes exactly the same or any different. I think this is a winner. It does not taste any different. I think it tastes just as good.
According to the HPB, the number of healthier meals sold in Singapore has increased to 50 million in March this year, up from 7.5 million in 2014. Customers opting for healthier food can look up for this healthier dining program sticker on F&B storefronts.
Sarah Alcaldi coming away with some business headlines, and those planning a trip to Indonesia need to watch the rupiah, Sarah.
Yeah, Steve. Now, after weakness in the currency, Jakarta is putting forward one way to stem the rupiah's decline. We'll tell you how up next.
From the Heart doesn't read from a training manual.
Welcome back to Singapore Tonight.
Let's get across to Sarah for some business news, because new technology is being made available for one important sector, Sarah.
Yes, Steve. Now, some small food manufacturers, well, they are set to get a boost in how to innovate with a small batch testing facility that will be opened in 2019. Now, the space will be part of the newly launched JTC Food Hub at Senoko, a food development site that helps firms save costs. Vanessa Lim with more.
It's known for fried and barbecued chicken, with 30 outlets spread across Singapore. However, with manpower constraints and growing competition in the food industry, Tenderfresh moved its operations from Woodlands Loop to a new food development site in May this year, in hopes of reducing business costs. Called JTC Food Hub at Senoko, the new building offers shared facilities, including an integrated cold room and warehouse facility on a pay-per-use basis. This helps to lower tenants' operating costs and capital investments. And in the case of Tenderfresh, it's also helped to boost productivity by 20%.
Now, it took less than 2 minutes for the box of goods you see behind me to be transported from the in-house cold room storage below up here to the production area. Now, this means that a lot of time and money can be saved, because currently one of the biggest problems that small food manufacturers face is they may not have the space or the capital to afford a cold room storage. What this means is that they have to store their food in an external warehouse and then arrange for logistics to pick it up.
Beyond improving productivity, more will be done to help food manufacturing SMEs to innovate. At the official opening ceremony of the Food Hub, which started operations in July last year, Senior Minister of State for Trade and Industry Chee Hong Tat said that SMEs have to keep up with the times.
More than ever, consumers today look for ease of preparation and enhanced nutritional value in their food choices. Food manufacturers need to innovate product offerings to meet these new consumer requirements. However, companies often face a lack of scale and in-house capabilities.
To help SMEs innovate, the Food Hub will also have an area that lets food manufacturers rent space and equipment to test new products in small quantities.
It's very hard for startups and SMEs to purchase your own machines. So, by tapping onto the small batch share facility with the high-end latest machines, we can definitely boost our speed of innovation.
The small batch facility is a collaboration among agencies Enterprise Singapore, JTC, and operated by the Singapore Institute of Technology. It is expected to open by end 2019 and will be located in the Food Hub.
Let's now turn to news from around the world. It's that time of the year again when we check on how the region's major companies are performing. Let's start with Samsung Electronics, because its profit dipped slightly. Its Galaxy S9 was not as popular as expected. Chinese rivals are also putting pressure on their margins. Now, there is doubt on whether Samsung will retain the crown as the world's largest smartphone maker. And that could be seen in how the stock ended the day, down about 0.5%. Now, it is a record for Sony, though, because the electronics firm posted a nearly 24% jump in profit following strong sales of its gaming software. The Japanese company has been expanding to stable revenue streams like online gaming and music libraries. Still, for today, its stock is down. It's not just PlayStation that is popular. Game titles of Nintendo's Switch helped the company's operating profit jump 88%, even as the sales of the console itself disappointed. Its stock, though, has fallen 20% in the past 3 months on fears of poor Switch console sales. Today, also down. Let's now turn our attention to other business stories this hour. China's Tencent blocked 8,000 WeChat groups and 4,000 personal accounts in the first half of this year. It says it's stemming the spread of fake investment tips that disrupted equity trading. Individual investors account for more than 80% of China's equity trades. Some of them do not have access to professional investment guidance, and they transact stocks blindly based on rumors circulating on WeChat. Indonesian President Joko Widodo has called for the immediate implementation of a plan to widen the country's use of biodiesel. It's hoped that using more biodiesel will help the country cut down on its fuel import bill by billions of dollars and stop the decline of the rupiah. Mr. Widodo also sounded an alarm on Indonesia's foreign exchange reserves, saying Southeast Asia's largest economy needs dollars now. Ryanair CEO Michael O'Leary has threatened to move more jobs to Poland if widening strikes hurt its business. It comes after its pilots in Germany voted overwhelmingly on Monday in favor of striking over pay dispute. Europe's largest airline by passenger numbers pledged in December to recognize unions for the first time, but it has struggled to reach collective labor agreements with some unions. Ryanair has already said it plans to move crew and planes from Dublin. And that's the latest in business this hour, guys.
Yeah, many thanks for that, Sarah. Still to come. Singaporeans stranded in Lombok after Sunday's earthquake return home safe and sound. Details coming your way. Here's a recap of our top stories this evening. A new accelerator program aimed at developing solutions for the built environment sector is in the works. This was announced today by National Development Minister Lawrence Wong. Electric taxi operator HDT will begin operating from tomorrow after being granted a 10-year license by the Land Transport Authority. Under the terms of the license, HDT will have to increase its fleet to 800 vehicles by 2022. A new campaign is calling on the public to reduce their use of plastics, one item a day. It comes after a new study by the Singapore Environment Council has found that Singaporeans use 820 million plastic bags a year.
20 Singaporeans from National University of Singapore's Muslim Society have landed safely in Singapore earlier today, days after being caught in the 6.4 magnitude earthquake in Lombok. Channel News Asia was at Changi Airport for their homecoming.
It was an emotional reunion for these National University of Singapore students as they were welcomed home by their families at the airport. For Madam Nur Shamsia, it was an agonizing wait to see her daughter, Ruhil Imani Sholehati, again, since news of the earthquake broke last Sunday morning.
First, we hear about the earthquake. Oh, like mother, cannot think everything, cannot do everything also. We want to go somewhere, we want to do something, also cannot. But we think about, of course, think about that only.
I was nervous because I know she's worried for me, and the connection there was bad, so it was quite hard to contact her. So I was worried that she would think that the worst have happened.
Ruhil was one of 20 students from the NUS Muslim Society who travelled to Lombok as part of a 2-week overseas community involvement program dealing with environmental and social issues. But the earthquake forced them to cut their trip short.
We heard a loud rumbling noise, and then we felt the ground started to shake quite tremendously. And then, so my first instinct was that, okay, maybe this is an earthquake. And I told all my members to squat down to avoid any injuries. And then, luckily there were locals there, and then they quickly asked us to, and they ushered out to the beach, outside of the beach, so that we won't get hit by any potential tsunamis.
The NUS team decided to return home as they believed their safety had been compromised. But things remain uncertain for hundreds of others who are still stranded. They're awaiting help after Sunday's quake, which has left 16 dead and hundreds more injured.
Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong has offered his condolences to Indonesia after an earthquake hit Lombok on Sunday. In a letter to Indonesian President Joko Widodo, Mr. Lee said that he is deeply saddened by the news of the earthquake, which has resulted in the tragic loss of lives, injuries and destruction. Mr. Lee added that Singapore is ready to offer assistance to Indonesia in whatever way we can.
Singapore and Vietnam have reaffirmed their excellent ties and expressed their commitment to strengthen economic and financial cooperation. And this after Vietnam's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Affairs Minister Pham Binh Minh called on Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong and President Halimah Yacob at the Istana today.
Mr. Minh's visit comes as Singapore and Vietnam celebrate their 45th anniversary of bilateral relations and 5th year of the Singapore-Vietnam Strategic Partnership. According to the Foreign Affairs Ministry, the leaders discussed regional developments, including ASEAN, and the importance of deepening economic integration through trade agreements.
Mr. Min was also hosted to breakfast by Foreign Affairs Minister Dr. Vivian Balakrishnan. They signed a memorandum of understanding on the Vietnam-Singapore Cooperation Centre regarding human resource development.
Defence Minister Dr. Ng Eng Hen will be in Honolulu, Hawaii from today until Saturday to visit the Republic of Singapore Navy troops participating in the Rim of the Pacific exercise, the largest multilateral maritime exercise involving more than 20 countries.
The exercise is hosted by the United States Pacific Fleet, and over 45 ships, 5 submarines, 200 aircraft and 25,000 personnel have been deployed. Dr. Ng will attend a reception on RSS Tenacious, the Singapore warship participating in this exercise, and he will also visit the US Indo-Pacific Command.
Thousands of Singaporeans have benefited from SkillsFuture initiatives in the past year. Over 11,000 individuals have benefited from SkillsFuture series, which is conducted by some polytechnics and universities that teach industry courses.
Meanwhile, a total of 27 companies received the SkillsFuture Employer Award this evening. That's 13 more companies than last year.
29 Singaporeans were rewarded for their commitment to mentoring others and given the SkillsFuture Fellowships Award.
And to ensure that SkillsFuture initiatives remain relevant, the government and institutes of higher learning will continue to involve industry representatives in its initiatives.
We will build on this initial momentum and bring in other partners, including employers and unions, to work together to expand the range of courses. We also want to work with leading employers to provide training, not only for your own employees, but for the industry sector as a whole.
The Workplace Safety and Health Tripartite Strategy Committee has started consultation sessions with key stakeholders. The newly launched committee will chart a 10-year plan to develop workplace safety and health conditions in Singapore.
Manpower Minister Josephine Teo shared this update at the annual Workplace Safety and Health Awards ceremony, where some 160 recipients were recognised. Ms. Teo said that a recurring theme observed so far by the committee was that the ownership of workplace safety and health has to be driven from the top.
If the senior management of companies are committed to workplace safety and health, they will naturally set the tone for the rest of the company to follow. This applies not only within the companies, but also extends to subcontractors and suppliers. Conversely, if the senior management shows little or no interest, it is unlikely that the rest of the company or its associates will take workplace safety and health seriously.
Coming up after the break, a new film here explores Singapore's deep-rooted food culture and how it ties individuals and communities together. That story after the break.
Republic of Food, a local film that's set to hit the big screen in mid-August, explores the elements of Singapore. Just to get my head around this, I'm getting all excited about food. Hits the big screens in mid-August, explores the elements of Singapore's deep-rooted food culture and how it ties individuals and communities together. Let's take a sneak peek.
Distribution and consumption of any form of food is banned.
Screw the global food ban. What the rice? Real rice.
Hello? What is this club that the news said you joined?
It's an underground food club.
If anyone finds out we've been eating real food, we'll be arrested and exiled to the food factories in the Arctic.
Okay, joining us in studio tonight to share more, we have the film's director, Kelvin Tong, and cast member, KF Sito. And Sito is also the founder of Makan Sutra. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Kelvin, first up. Okay, so this film is set in a world where food is banned.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so tell us, what can audiences expect from this movie, and what inspired you to actually do a film about, where food is banned?
Well, I think first up, what audiences can expect. I think they can expect to laugh a lot. I think the cast, you have Adrian Pang, Yo Yan Yan, you have KF Sito. I think it's going to be really funny. I think what audiences can expect is, I think at the end of the film, they're going to be really hungry. Because, I mean, what gave me the idea was, I was thinking about what it meant to be a Singaporean. And I think apart from the color of your passport, it really boils down to what we eat, really. And I think you see a lot of people talking about, yeah, this person is not one of us. But the moment you break bread or you ask somebody, have you eaten? Suddenly you're family. So I think food really goes to what it is we are as a people. I think that's our national pastime. So that's what the film is about.
And I suppose if you're talking food in Singapore, then KF Sito is the man to be heavily involved in this film then.
You said that, after watching this show, people should be hungry, right? And I think you should be worried also, I mean, the whole idea about food being banned because food safety issues, food security and bacteria and viruses and all this, it's nearer to reality than we all think it is, And you talk about fake food. Fake food is already in our midst, people. You walk down the aisle of any supermarkets, a lot of the stuff you're eating there that's stuff from soft drinks. You think there are real oranges in there, and you think there are real tomatoes in tomato ketchup. It's creeping in already. So this show, although it was fun, we had fun, it was funny, it was very close to reality, very near and dear.
Is that intentional then? I mean, we've seen some of the clips and it looks like a sort of a comedy of sorts, but the premise is also quite outlandish. But is there like a political sort of message?
Or a social message?
A social message you're trying to sort of get across?
No, I think, when you look at Singapore, I think it's changing. The fact that I look at some of my neighbours, they aren't our typical Singaporeans, there are a lot of new citizens. I think the fabric of our society is changing. And I thought that it's a very timely subject matter for a film. And I think for something like that, I think a comedy is the best way to approach it. Because I think if we can laugh at ourselves, then we stop laughing at other people. So therefore, Republic of Food.
Yeah. Okay. Sito, tell us about your experience, working with the cast, and what clicked for you.
Firstly, it's my first time. I've been on TV. Thank you. I've been in front of cameras quite often, but working with likes of Kelvin Tong and this motley crew, a lot of them never worked with each other before. Now, what was very interesting is how he had to create an emotion, a feeling for that moment, working with this crew, injecting humor, and then in the end, he delivers this message through. So that was very, very interesting to me. He doesn't smile so much when he directs, But it was really nice working with you, Kelvin.
It was a nice working.
Yeah, and we'll just break up this little love cast. Kelvin, but working with, it's quite a large cast as well. Yes. And but I suppose, when it comes to everyone was drawn to this, perhaps by the food itself? Was everyone drawn to the project as well, just for the opportunity to be involved with something that involves so much good-looking food?
It is, actually, because, as you know, I shoot a lot of horror films.
Yes.
And I think it's harder to approach actors because usually it's like, would you like to act in this film where you sort of get stabbed 34 times? As opposed to, would you like to be in a film where there's a lot of nice food? So yes, and therefore the large cast, because a lot of people said yes immediately, including Sito.
Okay, you spoke about preserving our hawker food culture in many occasions, Sito. What kind of significance does, hawker food actually have on the Singapore culinary scene?
Now look, I always said hawker food culture, or heritage hawker food culture, is very part of us, not just because it's about deliciousness. Now look, we don't have a language. We don't have a costume, hence we don't have a song. Nothing is really Singaporean. But if you look at our food and you understand where it came from, how it came from, it tells us about our desperate and insistent migrant forefather culture. They had no choice but to do this because they had to come together. And this tells a story, and along the way, there's deliciousness. So there's a lot of stories, not just feed.
And Kevin, one last question for you. What do you hope that the viewers, will come, and what will they take away from your film?
Well, I hope that at the end of the film, they feel like a serious need for mee rebus, and then at the same time, where they realize why they like that mee rebus, they realize that dish, it's a mix of a lot of cultures that is not just Singaporean, and that's what I think Singaporeans, the passion for food comes from. We are completely cosmopolitan from the very start.
And you think people should watch it on an empty stomach or a full stomach?
An empty one.
An empty one? Sito, an empty one as well? Yeah, a nod from KFCito. Kelvin Tong and KFCito director and cast member of the local film Republic of Food will be hitting the big screens on the 16th of August. Bring your appetites.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Still ahead here on Singapore Tonight. Now we take a closer look at the lives of tailors and seamstresses here to see how their work is stitched into our history. Stay for that. Welcome back to Singapore Tonight. Nearly 4 in 10 primary schools here are oversubscribed in the latest Phase 2C of Primary 1 registration. So as of today, registrations exceeded the number of vacancies at 72 primary schools out of the 184 across the island.
When schools are oversubscribed, parents may face a ballot. And the situation is particularly tight in Jurong West, where 7 out of 12 primary schools are oversubscribed.
The most popular school at the moment is Northland Primary in Yishun, where there are more than 6 children vying for every Phase 2C spot. Competition is also hot at St. Hilda's Primary in Tampines, which is oversubscribed by nearly 5 times. Registration for Phase 2C closes on Thursday, and results will be announced on the 8th of August.
Some other stories we're tracking today. Stay connected and be adaptable. That was the message from Finance Minister Heng Swee Keat to the graduating class of 2018 from the Singapore Management University. Tuesday's ceremony marks the first of 4 days of graduation for the university. There will be a total of 2,907 graduates, the biggest number since the university was established in the year 2000.
Career opportunities in the environmental sector are set to open up as more challenges surrounding climate change and water security emerge. Environment and Water Resources Minister Masagos Zulkifli said this as he presented 9 people with scholarships. They will be offered a position with the Public Utilities Board or with the National Environment Agency when they graduate.
Mickey Mouse has gotten a Singaporean twist as 90 Mickey figurines designed by local artists were unveiled at the Raffles City Mall today. And it's all for a good cause, as the Mickey Go Local exhibition is in support of the President's Challenge 2018.
And President Halimah Yacob graced the event where she revealed the Mickey she designed herself.
The money raised will go towards 6 charities, including Boys Town, Rainbow Centre and the Society for the Aged Sick. The display is also a celebration of the iconic character's 90th anniversary.
National Day is fast approaching, and as this year's theme, We Are Singapore, centres around issues of identity, we take a deep dive into the lives of everyday Singaporeans.
One such group, tailors and seamstresses. Their trade has been overshadowed by large retail stores since the 1980s, but they still remain an essential part of our lives.
大概是40年，我从小学没有毕业就去学工了。
Since picking up the needle at 13, Mr. Chen Hu Ming has been at his craft 7 days a week. And now that he's nearing 70, he's ready to stop the wheel due to health reasons. While the grandfather enjoys brisk business now, it didn't start easy.
那时候还年轻嘛，那时候23岁创业，所以变成经验不足，是一个蛮的冲劲去开店这样啊。 没有打好基础了，要有人脉啊，还有真正的手艺。那时候手艺还不大好，就这样失败了。
Slimmer, yeah, and also maybe a little bit shorter.
His persistence paid off, and today his shop Ming Yi Alteration has amassed a large base of regulars. Mr. Chan belongs to a generation of old-timers who recall how tailoring is stitched into Singapore's history, back when made-to-measure services were a way of life. But it soon unraveled with the rise of mass-market brands and retail shops. While he admits that tapering interest and long hours make it challenging to keep the trade alive, there's a silver lining in the digital economy.
Making your own clothes went out of fashion, I think, around in the 90s, where there were a lot of clothes that you could buy off the rack very cheaply, and he recognized that it was not a business that he could continue. But he also realized that there was a significant amount of customers who wanted altering of their clothes.
And this seems to resonate across the old-school tailor enclaves like Tikka Market.
The problem with online shopping is that clothes don't always fit well. Like this blazer I got off the net, so Heartland tailors are a jam. Many of these shops started out customizing clothes for people, but due to the rise of e-commerce, they have also taken on alteration services.
But there are many customers who are able to appreciate the value of artisanal tailoring skills. Miss Komerti Muthia is known for her beautiful saris and baju kurongs, which make up a large part of her sales. On a good day, the single mother gets up to 15 orders, and even more so during festive seasons.
A lot of customers, even the retail, they are not satisfied. They do come back, okay, they want to have their own ideas of making clothes. So I'm also happy that customer is repeating customer coming.
And this means long hours at the shop. Miss Komerthi and her worker spends up to 12 hours each day completing orders. But for the sprightly seamstress, seeing her designs come alive makes it all worth it. Like Mr. Chan, she quit school to pursue her craft and first honed her skills by sewing for family and friends at home. A needle and thread can go a long way, and these tailors have woven their hard work into businesses to feed their family and their passion.
It is very hard work. You see, everybody have their skill in them, right? So my skill is in the hand. I love to do something different. I like to do, not only I do stitching, I do also knitting, crochet, and I also like do beads work, something creative. I love to do this. So you see, this is in me.
Preview 2 of the National Day Parade takes place this weekend, and last night we held a quiz to give you a chance to win a pair of tickets to the event.
So we asked you, what is the title of Act 1 of the NDP show segment? And the answer is B, Our People, Our Home.
Congratulations to Yo Se Wei, Johnston, Ang Kun Peng and Ku Hui Huang. You were the first 3 to email us with the correct answer, so you get a pair of tickets to this Saturday's event. We'll be in touch shortly. When I say we, I mean Channel News Asia as a whole. I don't know that you'll be getting a call from Glenda Chung tonight, although that'd be quite nice, I suppose, wouldn't it?
Yeah, okay. No, but looking forward to not only National Day celebrations, but also looking forward to the film that we were talking about just now. So,
yes.
It's quite an interesting thought, that food is banned, and how Sito is saying that, you walk down the aisle, you have to be very mindful of the food that you are consuming as well, because fake food is around us as well.
It certainly is, and quite an adventurous premise, I suppose, that the film has, sort of setting it in a world where food has been banned. It certainly makes for a lot of hungry people out there. And we've had quite a few food stories on the show.
Yeah, speaking of hungry, now I'm going to have supper. I'm actually quite hungry. All right, well, thanks for your company here on Singapore Tonight. And as usual, you can find us at channelnewsasia.com, as well as on Facebook and Twitter. You can follow me at Glenda Chong CNA.
And me at Steve Lai CNA. We'll see you soon. Bye for now.